Okay guys, we're ready to start part 2, the tear down. Okay. 60 thousandths. They want 33 to 80. Okay, Junior just got the tail shaft off. Sitting over here. Just pulled the pan back off. Now we're going to pull the unit apart. This is the original band. Rigid bands are the original ones. They don't make rigid bands anymore for the kick down. Okay. We just took the slap hammer to these two bolts, gave it a tap, worked it back and forth. Front pump is loose. Okay, Junior pulled out the front and rear drum assembly. He's actually already had these apart, minus the pistons. Put it back together. He's off to school right now, so I'm just going to open them back up, show you what we found, and then he's going to come out here later and overhaul them. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to overhaul these two, wrap them up, throw them to the side. That's not the way you normally overhaul a tranny. Usually you take everything apart, clean everything, overhaul as you go along and whatever. But due to the way I'm teaching him and limited space, I'd rather do it this way. Okay, plus I wanted to know where all that clutch material came from. Now here is the kickdown band, the second gear band. Would I reuse it? No. If we were in 1975 and you were doing what they called back then a transmission repair, it went back in. So that's good. There's actually no flaking on it. This is a rigid band. They don't make rigid bands anymore. You could have this thing relined. This tranny's never been into, without a doubt. So let's pull these apart and see what we got. So we'll start with this right here. This is the actual drum. You definitely do not want to lose this. Get your fiber washer. This is the drum that I showed you guys the other day with the extra groove. If you want to add it, you can see how much more you can add to this drum. Basically what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to pop the snap ring out. Okay, and in this drum it's a wave spring. It actually adds a little bit of cushion every time it's applied. Okay, when I take apart a drum, I take everything out and lay it opposite to the way it goes in. Now here's your snap ring, which as you can see is a wave that absorbs a little shock. Here is your reaction plate, which I'm going to have a very hard time getting out with one hand. Okay. And here are your clutches. Now if you look at the clutch came apart right there. Okay? If you're following around, it was coming apart right here. So let's wipe that thing off. You get that nice waffle padding. Okay, that waffle pad's there for a reason. Then you see the waffles start to disappear. Somebody's eating the waffles. Right there, totally flaked off. They put that waffle pad in there for a reason. One, when you squeeze the clutch real quick, it allows the fluid to come out. And two, when you release the clutch, it prevents them from sticking to each other so they can release. So that's why the waffle pad is in there. But yeah, that's flaked apart. But none of the steels, nothing. I know it's hard for you guys to see in the color that's trying to. Nothing is burnt. Now if you look in here real quick, it's all gone right here. It's all gone right here. It's all gone there. There's a little bit left over there. So the second one in is worse, especially on the back side. So all that stuff you saw laying in the pan, you found it right here. Now that did not fail because the seals failed. There's the rest of your pieces right there. So now in reality, okay, if you drive this car the way it sits, this thing might not slip at all. It's still going to grip there and there. But I'm sure if you put a nice load on it, it'll start to do something. And that brings us down to the piston. And underneath this retainer and snap ring, there's a series of coil springs. Okay, these coil springs, we're going to press this thing out with the tool I brought home. Okay, grips it here and here and pushes down with a big bolt and a big washer like thing, and it's made to clamp in a vise if you choose, to allow us to get the snap ring out. When we take that out with all the springs, it'll allow us to pop this piston out. Obviously inspect everything and allow us to put the inner seal in and the outer seal in and go from there. Now at this point, I would like to see how many clutch packs this thing holds on the newer stuff. So this is the new supplied kick down the second gear band, which is a flexible band now. They give you 9 reds friction discs. They're the same on both drums. Forgot how many steels they give you in there. They give you a new snap ring, and they give you the low reverse band, which is now a hard band, or it was a hard band. They continue to sell it as a hard band. I'm pretty sure that replaces that snap ring. I have to look it up. So I just want to see how many this holds. Okay, here's the forward drum with a direct drum. Basically, it originally had this wave snap ring in there to absorb a little bit of the shock. They supply you with a normal snap ring, which is right here, and stacking in their clutches and steels, you can now have 4 clutches in there instead of the 3. These clutches are actually pretty nice. They're definitely semi-metallic. So with that, this is what I wanted to check. If I couldn't get the 4 in there, I was going to order them up a drum, so I could definitely get the 5 in there. But now that I can get the 4 in there, that's more than good enough for what he's going to do to this thing. There's no reason to spend the money and wait and all that other stuff. So if I'm not mistaken, when I put the 5 clutches in the other one, because of how far they machined it up, I think you have to start taking up the clearance with extra steels. Use them as shims. So yeah, this lands right on the minimum spec. So they want 60 to 80. I just came up with 60. I call that good. So, but we'll take it apart, we'll overhaul it and do what we have to do. I was just curious. So it's nice with the 4 in there. See how many we could squeeze in the back one. Okay guys, just a little bit of math here. I got some numbers written here on the table. I don't use a calculator. 70 thousandths is the thickness of the factory steels that are in this drum. And there's 3 of them. Okay, excluding the thick one at the end, the reaction plate. Okay, so there's 3 of them there. 95 thousandths is the thickness of the original clutches that are in there, to the best of my ability measuring them, because 2 of the 3 of them you can't measure. One side's damaged, one side's not. There seemed to be one little area on one where I got 95 thousandths, where it seemed to be a full clutch. So we'll assume it's 95 thousandths. Might actually be a little bit more, I'm not sure. Okay, so you do that times 3, you have 285 thousandths, and 210 thousandths comes to 495 thousandths. 60 thousandths right here is the new clutches. So they're 35 thousandths thinner than the factory clutches. And there's now 4 of them, so that comes out to 240. 67 thousandths, which is 3 thousandths smaller than the other ones, okay, is the new steels, which is now 4 of them. So that comes out to 528. So that number is bigger than 495. It's about 30 thousandths bigger. It's 33 thousandths bigger. Now it's 33 thousandths bigger, not really knowing what their clutch is supposed to be. The clutch could be 100 thousandths for all I know. I'm not really sure. All I know is when I put the new clutches and steels in, with the new snap ring provided, I get 60 thousandths which is a little bit on the light side because I'm not using a feeler gauge. I'm using my vernier caliber. I forgot my feeler gauge. So I'm going to say it's going to be about 64 to 65 thousandths clutch pack clearance. So that's the remaining clearance right here. So everything could spin freely and not drag and bind. When I put the other assembly back in, okay, with the new snap ring provided, okay, and I'll explain this in a minute, I get 105 thousandths. Now, if you take out the factory wavy spring and mic it, okay, to the new spring, it's 10 thousandths thinner. Okay, but if you mic it from bottom peak to upper peak, it's the same thickness as this replacement snap ring. Okay, now if we're checking clutch pack clearance, technically you don't want to have the wave in this spring. Now this wave acts as a cushion. So what is the actual clearance right here? I think it's 115 thousandths. Okay, with the wave holding the pressure plate down, it's 105 thousandths. Whether it's 105 or 115, it's not even in the ballpark of where we're supposed to be. Okay, so the point of this is to explain that the new items that they give you are thinner, and that allows you to put more in there and still get the clearance you need. Now, for argument's sake, say we were building this transmission and I came up with 105 thousandths. At that point, I have to figure out a way to get that between 60 to 80. Now, 60 is 45 thousandths smaller. I don't really have anything here that's 45 thousandths. Okay, so I can't put an extra steel in there, because an extra steel from the factory would be 70 thousandths. That brings us way too tight. So basically what you do is you would have to get a snap ring that was thicker to try and get you down closer to 80, you know what I mean, below 80, somewhere between 60 and 80. And that's how you would get your clearance. Now, if this number right here was 50, and I need 60 to 80, I can get myself a thinner snap ring and do the opposite. So, say it was 50, I needed 60, I can go get myself a snap ring that was 10 thousandths, 11 thousandths, 12 thousandths thinner, and get me into the 60s, and then I'd be safe. And that's exactly how you do it.